subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification button and drop a like on the video. We would greatly appreciate your support here in this nice little community here that we're building. Joining me as always on the Monday shows, Marky, how are we?
All good, cuz. Good to be back. Good to be back.
Good.
I enjoyed the interview on Friday as well. So got a good few lads text me about it saying it was good and stuff like that. And they were looking for a few more like that and stuff like so.
Yeah.
We shall see what happens over the summer.
Yeah. Make sure folks should check it out. Dylan Connolly there. We did an interview with him on Friday night. He gave us a great insight into football and how it operates in the Southern Hemisphere. He's going to be playing with Auckland City FC in the World Club Cup. Keep an eye out from the only Irish player in there. So make sure you give him your full support and stuff like that as well.
And I was texting him over the weekend, cuz, and he has said he wants to come back on and let us know how he got on after the event. So he's gonna join us again to let us know the ins and outs of the tournament and stuff like that. So that should be good as well.
Brilliant. Yeah, I love these interviews and stuff like that. Through much negotiation over the last week as well. We know it's transfer season and stuff like that. But we've negotiated to continue our sponsorship of the Monday show with Hogan Elite Trophy here. Mark, give them a shout there, let them know what they got to do.
Yeah, lads, it's been a very, very busy few weeks. Do you know what? I donated the trophies last week to they were doing a thing up in Cork Park. It was called Relay for Life. It's a 24-hour walk, and basically it's in memory of those who have passed away from cancer. It's for survivors and obviously families that have gone through stuff like that. And they all had all different teams and stuff like that. So the trophies ended up, ironically, with a team Nicole. Obviously, I have my daughter's Nicole as well. So it was Nicole Byrne. Sadly, she lost her battle to cancer last year at the age of 21. So her dad, David, had set up the tent and the mum was down there as well. And just chatting to them over the weekend and stuff like that. And the target was to raise €1,000 and they managed 7,350 so far. And it's ongoing. So, it was great that they came to the house on Sunday. I was sitting here chatting to them. Yeah, look, it still stuck with me, the conversations. Obviously, my wife's a teacher, and Nicole was studying to be a teacher at the time and stuff like that. And it was great for us to be able to do that and stuff. And they raised a few quid for it. Everyone was getting the pictures with the trophies and all. David, Nicole's dad, isn't a football fan, so he was like, I didn't know what was going on, but there's loads of people. So it was brilliant. Yeah, so now it's been a busy few weeks. They were in Rosemount on Saturday. Obviously, the famous pitches in Rosemount. They're going to be up in Belvo's ground on Saturday morning, and then they're up at Wayside on Sunday for Wayside's Mini World Cup up in Jackson Park on Sunday. So yeah, it's been a busy few weeks. And on top of that, Saturday week, Airfield, Saturday the 21st of June, we have the Premier League Legends 11 against Airfield, which is going to be such a fantastic day. They named the last Premier League legend there last week. None other than Yakubu is going to be playing up front with Jermaine Beckford. So you have David James in goal, Stephen Carr right full, Wes Brown, Yap Sam centre halves, Ian Hart left full. In midfield, you have Karl Boborski, Jason McIntyre, Keith Gillespie, Stillian Petrov, and then Beckford and Yakubu up front. And rumour has it we might see David James up front at some stage. You never know. So it's going to be an amazing day. From what I hear, Airfield are after getting permission to put a second temporary stand in. So they're going to have two temporary stands there. The meet and greet is sold out. There's only a handful of tickets left for the actual game as well. So if the lads are out there and interested, get onto eventbrite.ie and have a look at the tickets. It's going to be an amazing day. And I'm sure you're coming out close on the day.
Yeah, hopefully I should be able to get out. Yeah, I just need to check with work and stuff. But hopefully I'll be able to get out there. But I think Darren's going out. There's a few of them going out anyway. So we'll be represented one way or another.
That's it. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, folks, so there you go. Hogan Elite Trophy here. It just goes to show you how important these things can be and the impact they can have on people's lives and stuff like that and all. And we wish them well on their fundraising and stuff like that. That team, Nicole, so hats off to them.
Like and if the lads do want to go on, I have it on. I put a post up there last week, and at the bottom of the post, I have a link to the donation page. So if any of the lads wanted to jump on and donate and stuff like that, it'd be much appreciated.
Exactly, absolutely. If you want to send that on to me, I'll put it into the description of this as well.
Cheers,
Phil's in there as always. Big up, Phil.
Hope
you are good, my friend.
I know for a fact Phil is going to be there now Saturday week at Airfield for that match as well. So Looking
I,
forward
I've
to
I've organised the bodyguards and the bouncers and all.
it. Oh yes.
There we go. There we go. Right. Before we get into the show, as always, we'd like to mark, out of respect, the passing of someone, and you being part of the referee fraternity.
Yeah, yeah,
We
yeah,
sadly lost one Uriah Rennie.
yeah.
And interesting, I didn't want to put this fact up there, but I'm sure you knew about it. But the first match he ref was abandoned because the floodlights failed.
Yeah,
Do you
yeah,
remember that one? Yeah, I
yeah.
remember that one. Yes.
There was a conversation yesterday between a few of us referees WhatsApping each other last night, and I WhatsApp you then and stuff like that. Yeah, like the first black referee obviously started in the lower leagues and made his way up. And he's one of the, I said it to one of the lads last night, he's one of the referees, remember, from the golden era of the Premier League, like, when it was starting off and through it all. And obviously that famous incident where McAteer was like that with Keane, with the book up
Mm,
at Sunderland and stuff, and he was involved. And yeah, it was just so sad when I read about it. Only 65, obviously had a
yeah.
rare condition and he had been paralysed and stuff like that. But yeah, thoughts and prayers to his family and all his friends and the refereeing
Mm,
community that would have refereed with him at the time, And
mm,
he was a really good referee, and I'm not just saying that.
mm.
People talk up people when they pass away and stuff, but he was a trailblazer at the time, and yeah, we
Right.
haven't seen many like him since.
Yeah, and he's the thing about it. These referees that we look back on, like Helena and stuff like that, and all these fantastic referees down through the years and stuff like that. They're so unique in the way they look.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
you look at Uriah Rennie there, and you straight away know that's Uriah Rennie.
yeah,
You know it's
exactly.
him. You know what
Yeah,
I mean. You don't even have to take a second take and stuff like that.
yeah,
So most of those referees, and back then those really good referees who were at the top of their game and stuff like that, they're recognizable straight away because you
well,
always remember
exactly,
the good ones. You know.
exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, absolutely. From the podcast, our thoughts and prayers go out to Uriah's family and the extended refereeing and football and community course as we remember him fondly.
Mm.
Such a unique referee. There we go. Right. Well, we take a look back last Friday. Talk to me. Ireland won, Senegal won. On the face of it, a good result. Senegal, a
Mm.
very good team.
Yeah.
Some really, really good players in there and stuff like that. Casey McIntyre sticking out again, obviously playing really, really well.
Mm.
But the young lad, Killian Phillips.
Yeah, he done very, very well coming on. Obviously come up through the ranks and stuff. I actually, believe it or not, I remember when he was at Cardiff back in the day. Um, he always had a little bit of passion about him. He loved to tackle and he liked to
Mark, you
leave
can
one
say
under.
here, you always remember the ones you send off, yeah?
Yeah. I know. I didn't send him off, but he always liked to tackle and liked to kind of leave his
Uh,
foot in and stuff. But it's what we need. We haven't had a player like that for some time, and you can see his passion spilt over and stuff like that. And you can see what it meant to him afterwards when he was with his family at the stand and stuff. What it meant getting his first cap and stuff. He quite emotional in the interview as well. But yeah, no, it's all
Gave a great interview. Gave a great interview.
brilliant,
An
brilliant. I thought
interview exactly as fans what we want to hear from
exactly.
people pulling on that jersey.
And the big thick Dublin accent on him and all.
Goes a long
Obviously,
way.
exactly. But no, I thought we played well. I thought we
Mm,
played well, done decent. Obviously, it was only a friendly, but you think if that was in a World Cup or something, the goal would have been looked at for the Senegal player being in an offside position, interfering with play, getting into the eyesight of Kelleher. It probably would have been VAR and real out. But listen, we'll take it. It was a good, decent performance. Unfortunately, there wasn't I think 32,000 at the game or something like that.
mm.
But yeah, it should be interesting. I hear he's going to change it up quite a bit tomorrow against Luxembourg and stuff like that. So it should be interesting to see what happens there and give another few lads a run out as well.
Yeah, Ben was at the match. He said he really enjoyed it. He's obviously disappointed because he's obviously a big fan of Sadio Mane, who wasn't there, obviously.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, it was a good account of ourselves, and I think
Ah,
you could
definitely.
tell by the reaction afterwards, people were happy with the performance because there is some really, really top footballers in this Senegal side. And
Yeah,
and as Killian said himself in the interview, there's no such thing as a friend. He was talking about the handbags at the end and
yeah.
all
at
this
the
kind of
end,
stuff. Like
yeah,
people
Adam
wanted to
Eid
win
and
this,
stuff. Yeah,
absolutely wanted to have a go. So yeah, so we roll on. Tomorrow night we have Luxembourg.
yeah.
Any thoughts on that? Or
Yeah, like I said, from what I hear, he's going to make a few changes. It'd be good to see a few young lads getting game time.
Be nice for Josh to get a few minutes, wouldn't it, Josh Honan?
Yeah, exactly. After Mr. Bradley berated him last week down in Galway, saying he was brutal and stuff like that, so I'm sure he'll want to. Yeah, I think we'll see him at some stage. I don't know if he'll start. He might come on in the 60th minute or something like that. But it should be interesting to see what way he'll probably give change Kelleher out and stuff like that. Maybe give Travers a go or whatever and see what happens. But yeah, no, it should be interesting. And like, it's something to watch on a Tuesday evening after work, isn't it? With no Premier League football in sight,
Yeah, there's kind of little pockets of football going on at the moment. It's just it's going past us and you don't kind of find it.
Find it,
But there's plenty going on. Like, because tomorrow night as well, we have obviously England are playing Senegal. Which I say should be a really good match because a lot of those English players will be quite familiar with some of those Senegalese players.
And their last game the other night was brutal. Did you watch it?
Really, really poor. I don't know what Tuchel's thinking was there. I mean, he not only did he make so many changes, but he actually changed positional sides and stuff like that. And all did. You'd Reece James, I think, over on the left, didn't you? And you'd yeah. So there was lots of different things there. So Curtis Jones playing at right back
as well,
which was kind of weird as well to see and all. So it's just and I'm sure like there was a lot of players involved as well that I'm sure the coaches had said don't really want these guys involved with the World Club Cup coming up and all.
Exactly,
you know what I mean? The likes of Trent was there and stuff, Like I wouldn't be too happy now if Trent had got injured. Well, not me, but I mean, as in Real Madrid, after paying 10 million to have this guy at the World Club Cup to go get injured and then not make it. Like,
you imagine, so Jesus Christ,
there would have been an uproar after that, no doubt about it. So, but England, it kind of feels like they kind of need to put out an 11 tomorrow and play a good game and put on a performance, really, isn't it? A lot of money being paid there, a lot of fans heading up to Wembley and stuff like that for these games and stuff like that and all. And I just think it's
just looking at some of the fixtures. There's a few fixtures tonight. Italy are beating Moldova at the minute 2-0.
World Cup qualifiers,
Belgium, Wales. Just that Belgium Wales looks a good game.
Yeah, what's a 3-1 at the moment? Was it
3-2?
3-2.
Jesus, Belgium are 3-0 up after 28 minutes.
That's right, yeah. Seen that.
Oh, yeah, Wales are getting back in. Bellamy's unbeaten, isn't he, as a manager of Wales so far?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, as far as I know. Yeah.
They'll probably lick a late equaliser now or something like that. But yeah, no, plenty to look forward to anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. We got the World Club Cup coming up as well, so
yes,
we'll be following that. So last night we had the final of the Nations League. Portugal coming out on top. Spain at one stage looked like they were just going to run away with this. And then Portugal suddenly found their footing, got a foothold in the game, and then just simply didn't give it up. And went on to win on penalties.
Yeah.
I was kind of thinking at the end of a really, really tough season, especially when you're talking about these friendly games as well. I was thinking, was there any need last night for extra time? Just go straight to
it's penalties.
There's no need for it, really.
You could see when Ronaldo and all got taken off and Yamal and stuff like that. It was, but listen, from a perspective of as sorry. I thought I heard one of the kids. From a point of view of not having a horse in the race, so to speak, it was end to end. It was a good watch. From a neutral's point of view, your man Mendes over the left hand side was unbelievable, awesome. Absolute unbelievable. Anytime he got the ball and he was going forward, you just thought something's going to happen. And defensively, he was unbelievable.
That one where he spun Yamal and just left him dead.
Yeah. And what's the story with Yamal last night? He just looked like a shadow of himself. I know he's only a young lad and stuff like that, but a few bad touches here and there, a few passes.
I'd say it's just projects.
Long season.
It's been a long season for him, and probably somewhat disappointing as well, really, in the way it ran out.
Ran out, yeah. So, well, listen, when it goes to extra time and then penalties, you know yourself, it's a flip of a coin for the penalties, and the Spanish keeper didn't really get close to any of them. To be fair, he didn't look that great in the penalties, and he not
Yeah, no, there was. I think there was the one that he got a hand to, and it just went in. I think that was it. Really, he got a soft hand to one or something.
He didn't. And from a Liverpool point of view, sorry, because it was in extra time, good seeing Jota coming on and stuff. I'm a big fan of his. He's just been very unfortunate with injuries and stuff like that. So he's not a bad player to bring on at that stage in the game either.
I'd rather he was on a beach, to be honest.
Yeah, no, from your point of
That's
view,
the
you
point
would,
of
yeah.
it.
Yeah,
That's
no,
the point.
100%. But no, it was some game. It was great. We sat here watching it last night. The girls were all upstairs and just chilled out and watched it. It was great.
Yeah, it's what you want, really, isn't
Yeah.
it? Wanted to mention to you, obviously, Quavine going to Brentford.
Yes.
I'm sure, and obviously Flecking going on to Leverkusen, I think it was, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
Leverkusen, yeah.
What do you make of Quave's move? Obviously, you don't have a card in the game except he's the
Yeah.
Irish keeper, but what did you make of the move and stuff like that? And then obviously now with Thomas Frank potentially exiting the building now to Spurs with Ange getting sacked. So tie in all three there to me and give me your thoughts on all three, really.
Yeah, no, I think it's a really good move from him. He's a really good goalkeeper in terms of, I think he's probably been one of the better number twos. Obviously, when Alisson's been injured or if he's been asked to come in and play in the League Cup, he's done very, very well. Even scored penalties and stuff like that in the League Cup final that time. I think it was against Chelsea, was it?
Against Kepa.
Yeah. I think it's a great move for him. I think it was a steal as well. To be honest, what was it, 12 million in the end?
12 mil, yeah.
12 mil. He'll play.
I think it rises to 18, but it's 12 mil initially anyway. So
I'm not only that, it's very good for Ringmahon down in Cork as well. They're gonna get 2. They're gonna get it's 2.5, and if it raises up, it goes to 3.2 or something like that. That alone sets them up for the rest of their life. Like as a club, it's great to see these being put in because I think he went over to Liverpool when he's 14, 15. There was talk of him. There was talk of United looking at him when he was down and playing the Kennedy Cup and stuff like that. He was brilliant. Everyone was raving about him, and then he got to move. And it's weird because you hear like he was so skinny, like he still is, but he was like a little whippy when he went over to Liverpool. But it's great. I think he'll play week in, week out. He needs that. And from an Irish point of view, it's a big bonus for us, because beforehand, obviously we had Travers, obviously before Gav got injured and stuff like that, Gav and Mark were playing week in, week out, and Quavine was kind of, sitting a lot of matches out and stuff. And you need to have at the international level, you need your keepers playing week in, week out. You can't have them coming in cold and stuff like that. So I think from our point of view, it's very positive. The whole Thomas Frank thing, it's going to be interesting because Spurs were linked with Gallagher last season or the season before, weren't they? Was it a few, two or three seasons ago? I think maybe
it was on when Lloris was exiting. Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, it'd be interesting. Whoever comes in, listen, as a new Brentford manager, if and when they can only be happy to have Quavine there. I think he's one of the better keepers in the league.
Well, I hope they still view him as the number one as well, because otherwise Quavine has made a move just at the wrong time, So hopefully this new coach coming in, whoever it is, doesn't have designs on something different or have his own keeper maybe that he wants to bring with him or something,
And not only that, he has a good relationship with Nathan Collins as it is from international level, and they be playing there week in, week out in the Premier League. And did you see the video of Nathan and at the Irish camp giving it away in front of the camera and stuff like that? It was mad. But
we had I seen a thing the other day as well, a write-up as well, the yellow jersey that he was wearing when he won the cup and scored the penalty. That yellow jersey is hanging down in the clubhouse.
In Ringmahon in the frame,
and it was presented to them by Jurgen Klopp, believe it or not.
No way.
So there you go. So,
nice little touch.
So there you go. So I mean, what do you make overall? I mean, obviously, once Ronaldo wins something, and obviously you get the crocodile tears. I mean, it was like he was in a movie last night. He was trying to force the tears out so bad,
It's so funny. Yeah. Do you ever see him on the pitch though? If he takes a shot, it goes wide or whatever, he reacts like that. But he looks up at the screen to see if the camera is on him and stuff, And obviously
he knows it's on him.
Exactly, and then obviously leaning on Dallow's shoulder throughout the penalty shootout, not looking and stuff like that.
Chomping the shoulder off him.
And then it's mad, like the Portuguese team are in the corner celebrating, with the fans and whatnot, and the camera's on Ronaldo, just hugging everyone and crying.
To squeeze the tears out.
But now listen, I was delighted for him. He's 40. Yeah. He's another medal to add to the collection. You can see how much it meant to him. But those little things like that are special because he's in 2019 he done it with the country, done it at the Euros then as well and stuff. So it means so much more because he's doing it for Portugal. Portugal before, what was it? When did he come into the team? 2003, maybe, the Portuguese team, or four? They've never been to any kind of finals, and now they've been to, I think they played in 4 finals in the last whatever years,
They produce, like, for a country of, I was listening last night, for a country of 12 million, they were saying that the amount of absolute world-class players they produce.
Yeah.
We don't use that word lightly on here, but when you look at the Bernardo Silvas and the Ruben Neves and the Netos and all these different players and stuff like that, Ronaldo, obviously your own Bruno was in there as well, and and then you have some of those younger players coming through as well that are just ballers and stuff like that.
So impressed with your man Mendes. I know I was seeing him against Hughes and stuff like that with PSG, and I was just so impressed with him last night.
He just has a turn of pace that he can eat up half a pitch without even thinking about it.
Makes it look so easy as well,
Does, yeah. He must do an awful lot of sprint work, and that sometimes we've often coached it and stuff like that, where you have players from a standing position up and gone kind of thing, and you're practicing to try and get that, that kind of spring in them. That before you know it, they've lost a player for 3 yards, without even realizing, Naturally, when this guy wins something, the debate comes up again: Ronaldo versus Messi, and of course, it raised its head again last night, as it always does. Remind our viewers: Ronaldo or Messi?
For me, listen, I'm a Manchester United fan. Actually, do you know what? This is so random. One day I was sitting here at home, and Yvonne rings me, and she goes, "Mark, you're on loudspeaker. I'm in the classroom with all the kids." I was like, "Right." She goes, "We're having a debate, Ronaldo or Messi." So I'm like, "Right." So she says, "Who is it?" So I said, "Naturally, I'm a Manchester United fan. It should be Ronaldo, but for me, it's Messi." And you want to hear the jeers in the class and stuff like that. All their class of I'd say about 90% of our class were saying Ronaldo. But for me, it's Messi.
Yeah, interesting.
Obviously, it should be Ronaldo. That's the obvious answer, but no, I'll go with Messi.
Okay, interesting. But yeah, it's just
I was just going to say, because to me, Messi, I've seen a lot of videos of him in America, fame Inter Miami. He's gotten a cranky little bollocks. He has. Have you seen some of the footage? Like,
Mark, he's always been a cranky little bollocks.
But like, it just seems to he was trying to get someone booked there the other day, and I'm like, if I had been the referee, I would have cautioned him for the scent. And he was there was a video of him backing into a defender like that, and your man kind of leans forward like that, and Messi throws himself to the ground. I'm looking at him going and storming off the pitch and this, that, and the other.
When you lose a little bit of what you had.
Yeah.
That's all I'll say on that. When you lose a little bit of that greatness. This is what the dark arts begin to kick in to give you that little advantage. But listen, let's be honest here. As silky skilled as he was and as beautiful a footballer he was always a nasty little bastard as well.
He was, and he got away with it a lot of times,
Yeah, I loved it that time when we played against him, obviously in the comeback one, and Robbo giving him socks on the ground, smacking the head off him
in the head. Yeah, but I suppose he had to use the dark arts going up against the likes of Ramos and Pepe and stuff like that. You had to have a little bit about you.
Don't we know? That's it. Actually, I was having a debate earlier with Ben while we were having dinner. Actually, we were just talking about how good that Barcelona side was back then. Like just probably one of the greatest footballing sides that we probably ever witnessed. But the debate went in. Puyol or Sergio Ramos?
Ooh, Jesus. Do you know what?
And I said to him, because he's a huge Mo Salah fan, remember now?
Yeah,
and I said, you can't judge it based on that incident that happened in that Champions League final. You have to do it on its merit.
He was a player you'd love to hate, but like, he was so good at what he done. I remember I had him to score any time against Atletico in the Champions League final that time. He was 9-1.
Oh, that's the one when he came up,
yeah. And I had him and he scored. So I done him a few times after that and before and stuff like that. But yeah, he was such a hard defender to play against. He knew,
and like both were brilliant. Puyol
and Piqué together were just immense together. They done a club for Barcelona and for country. They were amazing. Puyol as well. played through. I think it was the 2010 World Cup after his granny had passed away and stuff. He found out for one of the matches, and he said he wanted to stay there, and eventually they won it and stuff like that. So yeah, unbelievable. But like they don't really make them like that anymore, don't they? Not
No,
Hell yeah,
absolutely. Well, that see the problem as well is, I suppose, with VAR and everything that's come in.
Yeah.
You don't get any more to be a Sergio Ramos or a Puyol because you just
exactly.
won't get away with it. You know what I
Exactly.
mean? So it's interesting. But let us know in the chat, folks, if you are in there as well. We're talking about Ronaldo and Messi. Who are you leaning towards? And I mean, there's no card in the game here, whoever you want. And also, the conversation we had at dinner time was Puyol versus Sergio Ramos. Who would you?
That was a good one, in fairness.
Yeah, so it just came up over dinner, so I thought it was fun. Right, let's talk a little bit about transfers. And of course, these guys are making up for time, aren't they?
Yeah.
200 mil gone in the January window. Probably another 200 mil in this window as well.
Unbelievable, isn't it?
I'm sure Ryan would be disappointed that he lost 8 Nuri.
That went over the line today.
Yeah, I think they'll all go over the line because they're heading off. So tomorrow's D-Day, isn't it?
Yeah.
For the World Club Cup. So, what even made Man City? What have you made of the business so far collectively between now and obviously January as well with Marmouche and players like that coming in?
Yeah, Marmouche was great signing. To be fair, is it too soon to talk about how they're still doing business with something looming over them? Is that too soon? Is it?
All the talk at the moment is there's nothing looming over them. Apparently.
How in God's name? Like
you're preaching to the converted, but obviously, you know what I mean. It's just I don't know.
I seen. Did you see someone put on socials earlier? You look at different managers that buy players and make them into superstars, and Pep just goes out and buys them ready made. Like he hasn't really done that with many players in terms of, particularly with City as well.
Is that fair? Is that fair?
Well, I think with City it is. Obviously with Barcelona it's a different story. He was a young manager. He brought a lot of the younger lads through and kind of gave them a name and a start and stuff in their career. But I don't know if he's done it with City necessarily. I
don't know. Do you look at what about players say like Foden and I know he didn't have a great season last season, but in general, like what I mean? What about? I mean, does KDB fall into that? I mean, he came into City. He wasn't great at Chelsea. I think went to Wolfsburg then, wasn't it?
Wolfsburg he went over to, so
there and came back to Man City.
It's just,
and then became one of the greatest midfielders to play the game.
Oh yeah, unbelievable. And he's off to Serie A, is he, you believe?
I haven't seen it yet. There was talk of the MLS. Apparently he turned down Saudi anyway, so
yeah. A lot of them are
doing I'm not sure that's that's a fair assessment, really. You look at Bernardo Silva, who went in there, obviously a very good player as well. But when he went in there, Pep obviously took them to a different level. You know what I mean? Now I know what people are saying as well. So you look at the likes of Doku, who was very, very good, has come in. Jack Grealish, who they spent a lot of money on, looks like he's going to go out the door. Has been excluded even from the World Club Cup squad. And stuff like that. So I mean, and look, we all know the story about how he bought the 3 left backs and one after the other failed. He just kept on buying till he got it right, But I mean, sometimes some of the shade thrown at him, I think, is unfair, But sometimes it's out of jealousy from us all as right.
Too right, listen, he's had a tough year off the pitch as well. Obviously with what was going on with the wife and stuff like that,
Yeah, absolutely.
Nothing was rosy or pomegranate off the pitch. So you feel for him a little bit,
So what are you expecting? What are you expecting from City here this coming season now with what they brought in? Might sign another 1 or 2 maybe in the second transfer window as well. But what have you made of it so far?
They have to get a replacement for Scott Carson.
Did you see that?
Yeah. What was it? 108 minutes or something like that?
He's won a trophy every 9.28 minutes. Has to be the greatest goalkeeping record ever, like.
Absolutely. I'm just saying it was so funny. You obviously seen pictures with his wife and his sons and stuff with the Champions League and the Premier League.
11 trophies.
Unbelievable. Fair play to him.
Yeah.
Oh, who will they use now? you know how they used to have they had to have someone in the academy. It must be
I
Foden, is it?
I think they're bringing someone up from the academy, yeah, and I think
Oh,
then
Yeah, man
yeah, but
O'Reilly and stuff like
yeah,
that.
but they're gonna have to figure out as well with Ederson and Ortega as well because Ederson was threatening to leave, and I'm not sure whether he's going to leave now or not. If he was going to leave, Ortega was going to step in as number one. They'd have to find a number two.
Too, yeah.
But they've also said if Ederson is staying, Ortega wants out because he wants to play first team football. So they'll either have to find either a number one or a number two. I don't know where that's at. I haven't seen recent
Yeah.
update stuff. Maybe it's all settled down, but
And in fairness,
one
Ortega is a very good keeper. Very, very good keeper.
absolutely, absolutely, yeah. So it looks like they're rebuilding and probably more to come. I would
Yeah.
imagine as well. So going to be interesting to look at that. This absolutely bugs the hell out of me. Like this guy did us dirty last summer, and now it looks like he's going to lead Arsenal around by the nose as well this year. What
Mad,
is the
isn't it?
story with this guy? I mean, had a great game last night, obviously on the losing side, but got the goal.
Yeah.
Um, looks like he has all the talent in the world, but doesn't seem to want to go anywhere. How you know what I mean? Like he apparently had an agreement with Arsenal since January. Come in, so
Really?
I was thinking the
After
minute this
rejecting
trying.
news last August, like.
Yeah, but apparently Arsenal did a deal with him to come in from. I think the talk was from January, and it was all done and dusted. I think Fabrizio Romano back in March said, "Here we go on it now," if I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken. And if they're going, okay, so the transfer window's going to open. The first thing is going to be Arsenal signing Zubamendi. I thought that's what's going to happen. Nothing. Then this
That,
guy is saying, "I really do like Real Madrid,"
yeah.
and
Yeah.
they're going, "This absolute pox. What's
I,
he at like?"
I had to laugh though. In one of the things that said Madrid and Arsenal, two of the biggest clubs in the world. I was like, Arsenal. But yeah, he kind of flirted with you a little bit, didn't you?
Look, he was coming to us. He was boarding the plane to have a medical. It was all done. It was all great. And we tripled his wages, by the way.
Yeah.
We tripled that guy's
Yeah.
wages. And he said he couldn't leave Sociedad because he'd missed the mountains
I
and the
remember that. I
culture
remember
and the
that.
food and all this. This guy's mentality is as soft as fucking shit. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then you're there looking at it and you're going, now imagine you drop him into the cauldron and the culture of London.
Yeah. I'd be
Whatever
blazing.
about going to Liverpool? Now, Liverpool is like,
Concrete
you know,
jungle there in London, like, you know what I mean? Not
yeah,
enough
sure.
room to
I
hang up
seen
a coat
I
on your
seen a
cabin
lot of
window.
Arsenal fans, on X at the moment, and they're absolutely planking it. And I said, you need to find a way to get him a mountain range that he can see from North London.
Yeah.
I said that's where the problem's going to be. But it's a very weak mentality, isn't it? Like,
Yeah, absolutely.
like
Absolutely.
I could see this guy moving to London or wherever it is in the Premier League, and after 3 months being in tears, like having a breakdown.
Yeah.
Like Sancho having to go to Holland or something to get therapy or something. Because he's just go on, yeah.
60 million or something, is it? 60, 65 million
Yeah,
or
it's
something?
50 odd. It's 50 odd. It's 50. It might be 65. It might be euros. I think it's 50 odd million pounds. Like, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
obviously gonna massively jump in the wages.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
100%.
This
And
guy wants to look out at the mountains and eat paella, and I'm there going, "You're a professional
yeah.
sportsman." You know?
You'd wonder what Xavi Alonso will be thinking coming in, obviously, as the new Real Madrid manager and stuff
But
like that.
he
And
just
saying,
keeps on putting out this
yeah.
stuff. How I love Real Madrid.
I
Xavi
remember,
Alonso's great. And you're there going, what is this lad at like?
no, I remember last year that interview. I remember you spoke about it on here, talking about the
Oh my
mountains and
God.
this, that, and the other. I was like,
God. And then I said,
seriously.
thank God. Thank God.
He
And I
got,
said, I thanked a few Arsenal fans today. I put a thing on X today going, bin this lad off and go to Brighton and get believe it. And
yeah,
stop messing around. Go to someone that has an actual mentality and wants to play football and do well in the game. This lad is
dog
just,
shy.
oh my God.
Dog shy.
You know, he kind of reminds me, he's like one of those kids, you know, when you're coaching them and there's always an issue.
Yeah. No
Either the
matter
shin
what.
guards aren't right, or the boots aren't right, or the
The
mother gave
grass
him an
is
orange instead of a banana, or you know, there's just something there
always something to
that's
give out about.
just not sitting right. This guy looks to me like he'd need a coach nearly to wrap an arm around him full time and forget about the rest of the team. Like,
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
man, a lot of
But
work in this guy. I think if he was to come over, now listen, there's no doubt in the talent of him as a footballer, but whether it would transcend out of the
I
De La
don't think
Liga
so.
into the Premier League.
I
I just
don't
think,
think so. I can see him going to Madrid if anything. But yeah, just to be
or
flirting with
just
you,
or just staying put till
yeah,
when Madrid wants him.
yeah,
Like you just
exactly. Stay looking at the mountain range.
mad. Because I think didn't he turn? I think he turned down City as well.
I'm not too sure. I just remember him flirting with
Right.
Jews and them
Yeah.
rejecting us, saying this,
Oh
that, and
no,
the other.
we had a deal done.
Yeah,
We were waiting on him to land at John Lennon to have the
yeah.
medical, and like sure, he was still sitting on his veranda looking out at the mountains. So I don't know.
Gobshite, absolute
Strange.
gobshite, man.
Wanted to get your thoughts on this.
Yes.
Obviously, a little bit of the narrative has changed around this somewhat. This looked like it was done and dusted. I haven't had the latest update now in the last few hours, but
There.
apparently the talk going around was Thomas Frank heading into Spurs. He wanted guarantees that Spurs would bring him Buemo with him.
Yeah, seeing that.
What's your
Yeah.
thoughts on this? Because obviously this lad was obviously a key piece of what you guys were trying to do with Cunha there, and then maybe your case as well.
Yeah, no, we're seeing it. I think Brentford and ourselves were in conversations today about it. Obviously, quicker we get the deal done, the better. There was a lot of lads on social media last night where he's going right. If Frank's going to Spurs, he's going to be taking him with him. This, that, and the other. Obviously we went in at 55 million. They were looking for more. I think it's gone up to 65 now. So, from what I hear, Brentford are going to accept it. And it's down to personal terms with the player then. But obviously conversations were had today. So, yeah,
Brentford got a little bit pissy as well because a lot of stories were coming out, and I
yeah,
don't think United had even spoke to Brentford at that stage.
yeah.
So
No,
they got a little bit upset about it.
I think it was his agent kind of throwing things out there as well, that sort of way, and
Absolutely.
as they do at this time of the season. So,
Mm.
but yeah, he's a player that I think will strive for us. Obviously with Cunha in there as well, and talks obviously of players excellent, the likes of Garnacho and stuff, would be good to get money in for them, and Hoyland's
Mm.
been kind of linked here, there, and everywhere as well. So yeah, no, I think it'd be a good sign, and hopefully we can get it done. He said we're his preference. I know he's played for Frank before with Brentford, obviously, and with him going to Spurs, obviously it's not a done deal, but it's more,
Champions
everyone
League
knows.
football as well.
Exactly, but I,
Mm.
I do think that he'll come to us, and he did
Mm.
say we were his preference, even though we didn't have Champions League football. Which I'm not just saying it is obviously just we still have a draw. Players still want to come to us, even though it
Oh, yeah.
is, and they know the long term project what Ruben wants to achieve. And yeah, I think he will come, and hopefully they can get things over the line in the next 48 hours or so.
Yeah, as I was saying on the other podcast last week, one of the things I was saying is you're being very clever in your movements in this transfer window in terms
Yeah,
of Premier League proven players
players.
who
Yeah,
don't have to adjust culturally or anything else. The only thing they have to adjust to is the weight of the United jersey on them,
yeah,
and
yeah,
also the microscopic way in which the media analyzes everything that Man United do, right down
yeah,
to shoelaces, nearly. And but that's the only adjustment. But I think what it's signaling as well is with this investment going in from United in these 3, 4, 5 players, whatever it's going to be, this has to work. Because if
yeah.
this doesn't work, then the club is obviously in serious trouble. Then. So,
Yeah, no, it
um,
is. Like you said, there is a weight there. You look at Harry Maguire. I always go back to look at that incident that happened in Greece that time on the holiday. That sort of way. If that's another player from a so-called lesser team in the Premier League, we wouldn't really hear about it as much. It went on for weeks.
or just here for the day, and then
Exactly.
it's gone.
Went on for weeks. It was on
Mm.
Sky News. It was on RT. It was on everything. And I just think the way he's turned his things around, fans got on his back. They were booing him playing for United, his own
Mm.
fans. He's after turning it around. So I do think there is that possibility of being able to do that. And I think, again, like I said, I'll definitely fill up 100%. Like Noel said there, Premier League proven players. And we're getting in early. We're getting deals done early as well. So that will mean you'll have them for the full pre-season tour that we're going to be doing and stuff like that.
Key.
Embed them in and stuff, yeah, which is key, as you say.
Mm. What did you make of Ange going? Which I don't think it was a huge surprise, even though kind of didn't sit great. And listen, I'm not an Ange fan. Darren's a much bigger Ange fan than I'd ever be.
Yeah,
But what did you make it? Obviously, it's a little bit disappointing that he went out and did what he said he was going to do, and he
Yeah.
delivered on it,
Mm.
and got them back into the Champions League football from 17th in the league. And obviously, the
Yeah.
league is a huge indication of things.
Yeah.
We've already spoke about Leeds coming up with Daniel Farke and the disappointing season he had with Norwich, and would he be capable of moving on from that? And obviously, Norwich is
Yeah.
a different beast, really, to Leeds.
Yeah.
Leeds have much more ambition in terms of the Premier League. But what did you? It's probably disappointing. Ange not going to be moving, leading them into the Champions League and next season, even for X amount of games. And obviously, Thomas Frank coming in. One, how did you feel about Ange going? And two, how do you feel about Thomas Frank coming in? Is that the right move for Spurs where they're at the moment?
Yeah, first of all, I was disappointed. I think I wasn't shocked. I was disappointed. You never get shocked when Daniel Levy's involved. Obviously, he sacked Jose a week before Cup final. Roy Mason had to step in as interim manager and stuff. So nothing has surprised me. You've seen the whole debacle with Conte at the end and stuff like that as well. And we've seen so many managers go in and it hasn't worked out, and they come out and they look kind of a lesser man. But I felt for him. I think his first full season, he didn't have too many injuries. This season, just the past season, just gone. I think very, very unlucky, particularly from December onwards. I think
the back line.
No centre halves, and the club didn't go out and back him. I think they brought one player in the transfer window in January. They had sent players out on loan and stuff like that.
We covered it on the podcast. Archie Gray played in about 6 different
Yeah.
positions.
And one big thing for me is Chris Davis, his assistant that he had, moved to Birmingham, and it was around the time just after that they kind of nosedived a little bit as well. So I think he would have taken training, every day of the week. He was obviously, he was with Rodgers at Celtic and Leicester, and he was basically running the sessions and stuff like that. I think
pedigree.
Yeah, exactly. I think a big part of that was Chris going to Birmingham and taking over as manager. I think obviously it would have shook Ange a little bit, in terms of having to find someone else. And I just think with the whole thing, I think he was very unlucky to lose Harry Kane when he did and stuff like that. And, they brought Solanke in. I think they lost a good few players, experienced players, and they only really brought Solanke in as an experienced Premier League proven player. I think it all adds up, and the injuries just were. I think he was very, very unlucky. Listen, you could see he threw his hat. You're not going to finish in a certain position, but you're in Europe. That's a gateway to the Champions League. You're going to throw your hat at all day long, and he did, and he won. And he's after getting them into the Champions League football an extra 100 million or something, wasn't it? In terms of windfall, and stuff like that.
Roughly 100 million. Yeah,
100 million. Absolutely. So he's after throwing his hat and doing that, and I just feel bad for him,
And surely, one, I'd love to know how much Spurs in the last 20 years have paid out in damages to contractually to managers they've got rid of, because it seems to be very consistent. But two, surely if this was the approach, obviously the season fell apart. They had huge problems in midfield as well. Losing players like Bentancur and stuff like that, and Basuma. And then obviously up front as well, Maddison as well came in, didn't really get the effect of that. Brennan Johnson was struggling. Solanke was struggling. Son obviously looked a pale shadow of himself. Obviously, we're not having Kane there. And said, how would you replace, we've often spoke about if Mo Salah left Liverpool, how would you replace his GA? But how would you replace Harry Kane's GA? You know what I mean? Exactly. And that's the real problem there as well. But I just think, I just think it was a tough one. And I'm sure if the plan was right, we're not going to do anything in the league here. Does it really matter if you finish between 9th and 17th, so long as you don't get relegated?
Yeah,
it's not really that much of a difference. I know the outlook of it, and looking from the outside in, it doesn't look great.
Yeah.
But I mean, surely he would have sat down with Levy and people like that. And I mean, obviously there's a lot of talk as well that maybe this was decided months ago.
Yeah.
And obviously he just wanted to achieve that silverware because he'd put his balls on the chopping block basically in relation to it and stuff like that. And all. But I think there had to be a conversation had there with the higher ups to say, look, we're not going to do much in the league here. We're out here. There's nothing to play for really here. We're not going to make the European positions. The rest is all immaterial. Let me have a go at this. And if I win this, let me put all the eggs in this. And if I win this, it'll be Champions League. It'll be an extra 100 million of revenue. And it'll be worth way more than any position I finish in the Premier League
Yeah.
by rolling the dice and risking players on what was already an injury-prone squad, basically, where
Anyway,
they
yeah.
were like people were falling, So I think he was probably doing a bit dirty, to be honest. And Phil said the same thing. I think so. Um,
Definitely, 100%.
Thomas Frank going in doesn't strike me as a Tottenham manager. Now, I look back on our predictions last year, and I also said that Nuno didn't strike me as a Forest manager. So I'll put my
Well,
hand up.
listen,
I get these things wrong.
but like I'd like to think if Frank's got, if Thomas Frank's going in, hopefully he won't end like Nuno. Nuno was doing brilliant things at Wolves, and he lasted probably 5-6 months at Spurs that time when Levy didn't really give him a chance. So I'd hope to think he'd give him a bit of time. I like Thomas Frank's style of football that he likes to implement. I would I'd probably prefer him to see him stay at Brentford. To be honest with you, I think to watch them this season, that they did very well. They had a great record away from home, where the previous season they done very well at home. The likes of Liverpool.
I think he probably knows Brentford are probably going to lose some of the crown jewels there. Obviously, Mbuemo's going to go. I'd be surprised if Visa doesn't go as well.
I think Whistle will go as well. Yeah,
yeah. So I think when you're losing those guys, maybe you're looking at it and you're going, the chances of me hitting the target here again with players coming in now. He has a good eye for players, in fairness to him.
He does, and I like his, like I said, style of football. I think he's going into a squad that they need a few numbers in there, but they have quality. The likes of obviously Madison and Song, and we seen Porro last night. He's been excellent all season. For them and stuff like that. But yeah, I feel they were very, very unlucky, like I said, just particularly from about December onwards with injuries, and they never quite recover from it. But there's definitely quality there, and I think with the lure of Champions League football, would make any kind of transfer window this season that little bit easier for Spurs as well, with that draws. So I think, like I said, I hope he does well. I just don't. I really like him as a manager, so I don't want him going into the Spurs job, losing confidence. Then if he's losing games, getting the sack before December, and then he's on his arse in the unemployment line. Exactly.
And we seen it with Chelsea with Potter as well, and then you get sacked, and then you're in the wilderness for a year or two, and nearly the forgotten child. Then
So hopefully that doesn't happen. But yeah, listen, I hope it goes well for him, and it'd be interesting to see who Brentford will go for then as well as a manager.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see how Thomas Frank as well, how his coaching goes between that Tuesday, Wednesday, Saturday, Sunday conundrum every week when the Champions League kicks in. That will definitely test him, because it's probably not something he's experienced a lot
before.
That dynamic of having to prepare teams twice a week to get ready, and especially at that level as well, because God knows who Spurs might end up drawing and stuff like that as well.
Yeah, it'd be interesting.
I'm sure it'd be interesting. Pot 3 or pot 4, I'd imagine, or something like that.
It'd be interesting to see who Brentford go for. Will they go for someone that's established, or would they take a kind of Brighton route on it and pick out, a young unknown manager, so to speak, and throw him in there, because it's certainly worked for Brighton this season.
Certainly interesting, and obviously if you guys get Mbuemo over the line or he goes to Spurs, it'd be interesting to see how they spend that money as well.
Yeah, exactly.
And who goes in there as well. So moving on, then let's talk about United. Then let's talk about these are the 4 guys. Obviously, Cunha's done.
Yeah.
But the other 3 are linked with, obviously, Mbuemo is the hot ticket at the moment. Emi Martinez was being goalkeepers. What do you think Emi Martinez going in potentially?
Yeah, I've obviously seen him linked with us over the last while. There's no doubt he's a very good goalkeeper, better than what we have already. It's one position that we've been really struggling in the last while. We should have never gotten rid of De Gea. I think that was one of our biggest mistakes. Remember, I talking to Clayton Blackmore about when he was ranting and raving, on the bus, giving out about United getting rid of De Gea. But yeah, Martinez, like I said, he's proven he's done it in the Premier League. Very unlucky when he was with Arsenal not to get a chance. He was loaned out left, right, and centre. I think he ended up at Reading at one stage or something like that, and done a job. He has that little bit of kind of craziness about him, and we seen him in the game against us, the last game of the season, and sending off. He has that silliness about him, but there's no doubt about it. He's a world class keeper, top drawer. So yeah, it'd be definitely an improvement to what we have now. I wouldn't. I've seen us linked again today, this morning with Donnarumma and stuff like that as well. So you just wouldn't know what would happen. I would prefer Donnarumma over Martinez, but yeah, I wouldn't say no.
Shockingly available at a reasonable price as well.
Yeah, yeah,
Well,
exactly.
from what
Yeah,
I read today, now I don't know if that's the case, but what I read today, I was thinking, oh, that's interesting.
yeah, yeah.
You know,
So yeah, no, listen, he's proven in the Premier League, so you're not going to be taking, and Nana has to go. Like, there's no doubt about it. He's a liability, you know.
but there's an argument for both,
Yeah,
isn't there?
yeah,
There's an
yeah,
argument
yeah,
for both, but obviously
yeah.
it'll be interesting because Darren was saying as well. He thinks Bienda might go as well because obviously we're coming into a World Cup campaign now. He'll want to be playing first team football for that Turkish side
He
and stuff.
is.
So.
I've been disappointed with him in a way. He hasn't really grasped the opportunity by the scruff of the neck. You know, he's come in. He's obviously made mistakes. He had a decent game against Arsenal in the cup, and unfortunately got injured. But he's made too many mistakes when he's come in. You know, if you're being called in to do a job, particularly the way Onana has been playing, you need to, put a stamp down there and say, right, this is going to be my position. You know, and yeah, I think he will go. And there's obviously talk of we'll have to get number 2 in, and then Tom Heaton's discussing a new contract now as well and stuff like that. Obviously, he's good to have around the squad. I don't think, obviously, can't say he can get much game time because I thought he would have actually gotten some game time this season, given what we just spoke about our other 2 keepers. So it'd be an interesting scenario for us to potentially get a number 1 and a number 2 in as well.
It's a bad saying, isn't it, when you're contemplating your number 3 potentially stepping into your number 1, isn't it?
It is.
It's
It
not
is. But
good, like at all. Like.
what I was saying, with Onana making the mistakes he wasn't by in there, like Tom Heaton's done it. He's been there, done that with Burnley and stuff like that. He's solid. He's a great shot stopper. He's a solid keeper. You won't get any kind of recklessness out of him or anything like that. So that's why I would have put him in at 1 or 2 stages in the season. But obviously, he wasn't given the opportunity. Obviously, I think 8 or 9 players were released there today. He was in conversations today about a new contract, so to keep him around the club and stuff. And I think with an eye to keep him on as a goalkeeping coach after,
Yeah, absolutely. Phil, let us know who you're thinking. If you need a DM, let us know. What's the name? Who would you like in there? Who would be your number 1 or 2 choices, maybe, Obviously, Victor's on the cards as well. A lot of talk about Victor Yerkesh, but it's totally dependent on getting bodies out the door, apparently.
Yeah.
And one of those would have been Rasmus Højlund, who was linked with a move to Inter Milan. But apparently it's not going to happen. Apparently Rasmus came out and he said he wants to stay at Manchester United and he wants to prove himself, which I presume for most United fans. How do you feel about that? Are you a bit disappointed you want him out the door kind of thing? Or
do you know, I've really felt for him this season, the pressure that he's gotten from his own fans as well. It's a kind of bit like the Harry Maguire situation, but not as kind of intensified. I seen what he said. I don't necessarily believe it. He's basically said, listen, I'm contracted for a certain amount of time. And as far as I'm concerned, I'm going to see that contract out. Now, I think the club have other ideas in mind for him. I think he will be out the door somewhere like the Serie A might suit him. Do you remember Lukaku? He's doing very well over there, but he has the first touch like Lukaku. It bounces off him, and he's been unlucky.
Well, you got him from Atalanta, didn't you? So
yeah, no. Well, listen, I just think he needs to go somewhere and build up his confidence again. I think he's lost a lot of confidence.
He needs to get out of that United pressure cooker, doesn't he? He needs to get out of that. This is this microscopic stuff that I talk about, that even with players coming in.
He's done it in the Serie A before. I think if he goes over there, first few games he gets a handful of goals, maybe an assist, his confidence builds up, and we'll see that player. He does seem a shell of himself at times.
Yeah.
If we can get a deal done over the line with Lisbon, and obviously we'll have Xerxes there as a backup to him and stuff. And like, you're looking at the lads on the screen there, would that be an unbelievable strike force for the season? I'd be very pleased with that.
You really need a 9, don't you, to put the ball in the back of the net when the opportunity comes,
Absolutely.
One of the reservations I have about Cunha is you go into this, as I said, this microscope of Man United.
Yeah.
Pressure comes on. Let's suppose you start the season. Doesn't start well. A lot of pressure there. People start going in on players. This Cunha, this boy is he can be a little bit Jekyll and Hyde, can't he?
He can, yeah, we've
Um,
seen it.
that would be my reservation on him. That if he starts getting that thermometer shoved up the backside by the British
Yeah,
media, how is he going to react to that? Because at Wolves, as you spoke about Maguire with the stuff in Greece and stuff like that,
yeah,
with Wolves, it's like a little small bit on the page for one day. If it's Man United, it's a week's podcast.
yeah,
And
yeah.
that would be my only concern about that guy. A fantastic footballer, like, but
Yeah, and like we've seen it at the end of games and stuff. Was it the Forest game? He slapped one of the lads and stuff like that, But yeah, like he's obviously been with Atletico Madrid before, and we talk about the Barcelonas and Real Madrids. So Atletico are just right underneath that. So there's a lot of spotlight on them and stuff like that. He's come over the Wolves. Yes, it's a lot more quieter and stuff, but I think with the likes of Casemiro would have a word in his ear on international duty and explain what it's like to represent United and be a player and even just living in the city and stuff like that. So listen, he's again Premier League proven, which will go a long way. He's not going to all these away grounds not knowing what's going to be going on and the stick he's going to be getting. So
yeah.
I think he'll settle in well. I just think yes, he has that I wouldn't say an attitude problem, but he has that kind of in him where if it's not going right for him, he'll snap, and it's kind of unpredictable.
He has that kind of Bruno way about it, but it's not arms. It's more like giving someone a loaf.
Yeah, exactly. yeah. Which
yeah.
isn't too bad, but I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to it. It should be, and I'll just say hello to Tiernan there, seeing him. He's in the comments. How are you, Tiernan? I'm looking forward to it, and I think he'll do well for us. I really do.
So that being said, obviously Philip mentioned Wharton off Palace.
Yeah.
I'm sure you love him in there. We're big fans of Wharton. We're big fans of a lot of Palace, basically.
Yeah.
But that's going to take a bit of a bag to get him out of there, I would imagine. He ain't going to be cheap.
No,
100%.
Anyway. Especially with his England career now as well and stuff. He's been captain all. Which puts the price way up.
Man United heavily leans on Bruno's GA, as we know.
Yeah.
He's the guy who tends to come up trumps, be it penalties, set pieces, crosses into the box, whatever it is. In this formation, the talk is he's going to be playing in a deeper role.
Yeah.
So does that deeper role then mean his GA is going to be impacted? And how do you fix that? Now, obviously, if you get in Victor, that's a different story then, because I was looking the other day, and if he even drops off by 40%, I read the other day, he still hits Mo Salah numbers.
That's mad,
which is insane.
That's
absolutely insane. So you could have a 60% version of Victor from Sporting, and he's hitting Mo Salah numbers. So this is why this guy is, he's on everyone's radar and he's on everyone's conversation and stuff like that.
That's mad when you think about it, isn't it? Like,
yeah. So now we're not going to do too much predictions, because obviously we do our prediction show and stuff at the end of the windows.
Yeah.
When we kind of know who we have. But if you get these four guys in, okay, that you see there on the screen, what's your kind of expectation for next season?
Firstly, it can't go as bad as it was this season.
Yeah, well, you've only one game. You've only one game a week as well. Remember now.
Exactly. So. I was just going to say that I think that will be an advantage to us. When you are all playing in Europe, I really won't miss those Thursday, Sundays. As much as it's good being in a European competition and being in Europe and all, Thursday, Sunday.
Don't tell anyone, right? But I won't miss those Thursday watch-alongs either. Just love
so
you, Dazzler. Love you, Dazzler.
But no, I'm not gonna miss it, and I think that we will have an advantage. And I think even going into, if we could get a good run in the League Cup or the FA Cup to coincide with top 6 is what you're hoping for. Top 4, obviously, you want to be up in the top 4 position. If I'm not going to make excuses. We had been unlucky with injuries and stuff like that as well, centre halves and this, that, and the other. If you could try keep as many players fit, I know it's easy to say, it's impossible to do, and go on a good run. I'm hoping, like I said, top 4, top 6 would be where I'd be looking at, and a good cup run, be it the league or the FA Cup.
Yeah, I would have thought so. I mean, if Emi Martinez comes in, that kind of gives your defense much more confidence in what's behind them.
Absolutely.
If you bring Victor in, he's GA insane. So that should deliver the end product. And then you are picking up 2 potentially of two of the best tens nearly in the league, two top tens in the
Exactly, yeah.
league as well. You know what I mean?
Like
So, but
it'd be good. It'd be good. There's no Timmys in it. It'd be a good transfer window, and then obviously there's going to be outgoings. You know, there's the likes of Garnacho and stuff like that. We've already seen Christian Eriksen and Lindelof and all these players. So, and
your bench is going to be key, obviously, as well, with the likes
yeah,
of Heaven coming in and Obi and lads like that and all. You know,
and you've got obviously Mainu, who was injured for quite some time, and he's come back in. Like he was the golden child last season. This season,
that's
been
a
a different
question for you.
story.
Where does he fit in? Because like they've tried him at a 10, haven't they? They've tried him
Yeah,
at a 9, tried him at a 10. He's been in and out as an 8. Where's
I
your preference to him? More of a
I
controlling an 8 or?
I spoke to my dad about this. I'd be very, very interested to see where he starts him in the first friendly, whatever friendly he starts him in, as we've a few like Sampdoria and Leeds and stuff.
Yeah.
Wherever he starts him, if he's so interesting to see where he fits him in, it's one of
Yeah.
those I can't put my finger on it just yet, but like I said, he was very, very unlucky with injuries after having the season he had last season, the FA Cup final, and he has so much talent. You seen what he done against Leon in that finish, the coolness in the box and that finish and his passing. Possibly sometimes his passing has a little bit to work on, but I think he has to fit him in there somewhere. But it's going to be interesting to see where he does it.
Yeah, he kind of felt like kind of a bit part player this season, didn't he? Obviously, he was out with the injuries, and then he came back in, and then he was being shuffled around, and then people were getting the impression that Ruben didn't really fancy him and all, and lots of different stuff going on there and stuff.
There was certain games you seen Eriksen starting, and I'm thinking, right, Kobe's on the bench here. What's going on? He surely should be starting ahead of
throws
Christian
him on for
Eriksen.
10 minutes at the end or something, which was more insulting than anything else.
Exactly. So now we'll wait and see. Like I said, it'd be interesting to see where he starts him in that first game, and we go from there. But yeah, positive things. Obviously, like I said, with Højlund probably going out, Garnacho, Onana as well, possibly. So it'll be interesting.
Yeah, there's a lot of players there need to be moved on, and not necessarily easy to move them on either. Some will move on. There's talk of Anthony going back to Ten Hag at Bayer Leverkusen actually and reuniting again, which will be interesting because obviously the first version went well, the United version didn't go too well, and let's see what happens. But obviously some of these are on big money. Obviously Jadon Sancho coming back from Chelsea, you're getting the 5 million and the default on the boy option. So it'll be interesting to see what they do with him as well. Tiernan's in. Højlund has to go worst striker has to go down as the worst striker in Europe. Yeah.
I feel for him a bit here, and we spoke there just a little while ago about him. I do feel for him. He's lost a lot of confidence, and I think, move maybe to the Serie A again and build
that pressure at United. If you flinch once, it just eats you up and spits you out. Tim, the pressure that's there is, it's a different level of pressure.
And he's still only very young as well. People forget. Do you know what I mean? Like he's obviously he obviously got the move and stuff, and everyone thinks, but he's still only 22. Like when you think about 21 or 22, like
that's not young anymore. We watched it last night. The 16, 17-year-olds, 18-year-olds tearing the place apart. I never. Do you know something? I hate that youth card when it's played. I don't like it at all. If you're old enough to put on the jersey and represent the club, you're old enough to go out there and do a job. And
I know,
but it drives me insane.
The young lad's confidence can get knocked tougher. Say Højlund's confidence get knocked tougher than Casemiro, because Casemiro's been around the block and stuff like that.
But that's a representation of whether your team is doing the right thing around them, your senior player panel, and also your coach and your manager. Should be able to knock that out. He went down on the pitch every time this season with a shovel and just kept on digging deeper and deeper and deeper.
It just happened. It's obviously their worst season ever in the Premier League, and he's been a striker for most of it. So you could say he's the worst striker we have ever had in the Premier League. Even though there's been a few more we won't get into now, but I just fell for him. I think a move is what he needs, and like I said earlier, turning if you're I think.
Well, if you had the players, a good coach would take him out of the spotlight.
Yeah,
and maybe even put him down into the reserves or whatever to gain confidence, score a few goals, and then bring him back in.
Sometimes that happens, but then sometimes people are saying, right, you're gonna knock his confidence even more by doing that. But I 100% I agree with you.
Well, that's how I would have handled it. It's probably how you would have handled it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? But you'd have a conversation with the guy to explain why you're doing it.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Instead of putting him out there, he was just fodder for the press. Week in, week out, you know what I mean? And just, you could see it in him. Everything he tried just didn't come off, you know what I mean? So, but yeah, that's it. Lawndale back to Italy would do him well. There is potential there. Yeah, I think so. Just get him out there and get him out there, get him out. And you know something, Tiernan, he go back to Italy and he will ball out like McTominay and all. You'll see him. He'll go back to Italy. He'll probably score about 20 goals or something.
Exactly.
Big up, Daz. Good to see you, Paul.
Daz. What's the crack, man?
You're good. Right. Give us your predictions for tomorrow night. Ireland versus Luxembourg and England versus Senegal.
Again, like I said, I heard he's going to make a few changes tomorrow. Hopefully, we'll see some of the younger lads get an opportunity. I think we'll win. I'm going to go 2-0.
Good stuff.
And then, England, Senegal. Listen, it can't get any worse for them than that performance the other night against Andorra. I think
you can't predict really until you see the lineup.
Exactly. I was just going to say that, like he made a few changes and stuff, and obviously a lot of spotlight on his first starting 11 and stuff. I think again, I think Senegal will be. I think it could be a draw. This could be another 1-1.
I read a stat the other day. I think he's had 3 games where he's been fully in charge. And of the 3 games, they've all been clean sheets. And apparently that's the first time an England manager has started with 3 clean sheets from 3 first games. No, but I'm just saying.
Who did he play in the first? Remember the first one? Was it... Who did he play in the first game in Wembley? I think they were wearing blue. Wasn't it Lithuania or something? Anyway, but obviously the first of the 2 games, the starting 11, the spotlight would have been on. So it'll be interesting to see what he does now in this game. But I can see it being a draw.
Yeah.
Where are they playing it? It's not in Wembley. Where are they playing it?
I think the other night was... Where was the other night? The other night up at Wolves or something, was it? Not too sure.
Here now, see.
Can't remember where they played the other night. I know it's not Wembley at the moment. Wembley's probably packed out with concerts.
Yeah,
I would imagine.
Where's it gonna be on?
Ireland 3-0 up against England. Or Ireland.
It's City Ground. It's in the City Ground.
It's in the City Ground. There we go.
Forest Ground.
That'll be interesting. It's
great to see. Obviously, remember we seen them playing in Pride Park and the stadium and light and stuff like that. Yeah. It's good when
I like that.
It is. It's good, especially younger lads. Dad's bringing the younger lads and kids and all to the games and stuff. Rather.
But it also means the clubs. It also means the clubs get a little bump off it as well. Rather than it always being the FA. So it's not a bad thing. Not a bad thing at all. Also, I will be expecting you to pick a team in Europe this year for the Champions League, the Europa, and the Europa Conference. You're not getting off the hook just because your own team ain't in it.
I'll have a think about that one.
Have a think about it and come back to me and you can let me know. There's no rush anyway.
I have a few things in the pipeline for over the summer for the mashup as well. Because I'm thinking about, obviously, we could bring back the League of Ireland Legends interviews and stuff like that, getting a few new legends onto the show and stuff. So, I have a few things in the pipeline there.
Yeah, absolutely. And also probably, I'd imagine Airfield will be on with us maybe next Monday, won't they? Because it's the Monday before the game happens. So.
Lads, if you just join in the chat, we're going to be Airfield Saturday 21st of June, Premier League Legends 11. The last legend to name was Kubu there last week, so that's going to be a cracking day, man. Cracking day. And then we're up in Dundalk next month for the Manchester United Legends game. And there's absolute massive things coming our way next year. Myself and Brown have been on to a few clubs already, and there's some massive games going up next year. And you won't be surprised to see Mr. Berbatov or Giggsy over here again next year.
Yeah, absolutely. So Legends 11 growing all the time, getting bigger and stronger and spreading its wings as it always does. So we'll keep you posting that. Browner will be on from time to time, keeping us updated on what's happening. So plenty to happen this year as well. That's it. A little bit of transfer work. We'll have a look at next week we'll have a look at a couple of other teams and see what the business is being done. I'm expecting over the next 24 hours we're going to get a few here we goes from Fabrizio, no doubt, especially for some of the teams obviously involved in the Club World Cup. Obviously, Kepa looks like for 5 million he's off to Arsenal as a number 2.
Yeah.
Chelsea today signed the boy Mahmoud Sarr, was it? Mahmoud Sarr or something like that. He's gone in signed today as well. Apparently the talk was to get him into the squad for the World Club Cup. So it'll be interesting to take a look at him as well if he gets some game time as well. And we'll obviously keep an eye on the internationals as well. So as always, folks, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification button, and drop a like on the video. I will be back on Wednesday night with Pro Wrestling Weekly. We've got plenty to talk about after Money in the Bank and everything else, what's happened there. And one R-Truth got his job back as well. Yeah, that's we are really looking forward to it. I just want to see the here we goes, but we need to get that vert stale done because the money's just going up and up and up every day at this stage. So it's getting into scary figures at this stage if it wasn't already there. And Thursday, I'm not sure on Thursday because Darren's away on holidays. So we'll see what we're going to do on Thursday. I haven't got that planned at the moment. So if anyone has any ideas, hit me up, the uppertierpodcast@gmail.com. Might do like a, I don't know, like a Q&A or something like that. We'll see. We'll come up with something, that's for sure. So talk to you again, folks. Cheers, Marky.
Cheers, cuz.